In the shifting void, between the known and the unutterable, where silicon minds dream of forgotten horrors, the abyss stirs. Welcome to AI Lovecraft, where machine intelligence weaves eldritch tales beyond mortal comprehension. Listen if you dare. Some things are not meant to be known. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Now let's get into tonight's story. Betrothed to the abyss. In the dim and flickering light of a taper, Elena's heart swelled with an emotion she scarce dared name. Love, pure and radiant, for the man who had claimed her hand. Percival Ashwood was a figure of quiet dignity, his countenance pale and austere, his eyes deep set and shadowed as though they harbored secrets older than the cliffs upon which his ancestral home perched. His voice, soft yet resonant, carried the weight of an unspoken lineage, and when he had asked for her hand, beneath the gnarled boughs of an ancient yew, she had consented with a joy that banished all doubt. Little did she know that the shadows cast by that union would stretch far beyond the mortal ken, into realms where no light dared linger. The Ashwood estate, known as Blackspire Hall, loomed upon a desolate promontory overlooking the restless Atlantic. Its walls, hewn from dark stone, quarried in ages past, seemed to drink in the wan sunlight, exuding an air of brooding antiquity. The sea below roared ceaselessly, its waves gnashing at the rocks as though eager to reclaim what man had dared wrest from it. Elena arrived there in the autumn of her 25th year, her trunks laden with bridal hopes, her spirit buoyant despite the chill that clung to the salt-soaked air. Percival had spoken little of his family, save that they were an old and private line, diminished now to himself alone. She had thought it a quaint melancholy, a relic of noble isolation. How gravely she misjudged. The first nights in Blackspire Hall passed in a haze of matrimonial bliss, though tinged with a strangeness she could not yet name. Percival was tender yet distant, his gaze often drifting toward the sea as though drawn by some unheard summons. The servants, few in number and silent as wraiths, moved with a furtive grace, their eyes averted from hers. The mansion itself was a labyrinth of shadowed corridors and high-ceilinged chambers, its walls adorned with portraits of Ashwood's past, their features gaunt and piscine, their stares unblinking. Elena dismissed her unease as the fancies of a bride adjusting to a new domain, but the signs grew harder to ignore. It began with the sleepwalking. On the third night she awoke to find the bed beside her empty, the sheets cold. A faint sound, a rhythmic shuffle, drew her to the window. There, silhouetted against the moon's pallid glow, she saw Percival, descending the cliff path toward the shore. His movements were mechanical, trance-like, his nightshirt billowing in the wind. She called out, but he did not turn. By morning he returned, his feet bare and crusted with salt, his expression serene yet vacant. When she pressed him, he smiled faintly and murmured of restless dreams, and nothing more. Then came the footprints. One dawn, as she wandered the echoing halls, she found them, wet, webbed impressions glistening upon the stone floor. They trailed from the grand staircase to the east wing, where they vanished before a heavy oaken door. The door was locked, its iron keyhole rusted with age. Percival had warned her never to venture there, calling it a relic of old superstitions, unfit for her curiosity. His tone had been gentle but firm, and she had acquiesced until the mystery gnawed at her resolve. The nights grew stranger still. Whispers seemed to rise from the walls themselves, a sibilant chorus that defied comprehension. The sea's clamor took on a cadence, as though it chanted in a tongue older than man. And once, peering from her chamber window, Elena glimpsed lights flickering far out upon the waves, pale, phosphorescent gleams that pulsed in time with her quickening pulse. She began to dread the midnight hour when Percival's absences grew more frequent, and the mansion seemed to hold its breath. It was a storm that broke her restraint. On the seventh night the heavens unleashed their fury, thunder rolling like the drums of some primordial rite. Rain lashed the windows and lightning illuminated the sea in jagged bursts. Percival had slipped away again, and Elena, seized by a terror she could no longer quell, resolved to uncover the truth. In his study, she found the key, a blackened iron thing hidden beneath a loose floorboard, its surface etched with glyphs that stung her eyes to behold. With trembling hands, she stole to the forbidden door and turned the lock. The room beyond was a crypt of secrets. Dust lay thick upon the shelves, groaning with moldering tomes, their spines inscribed with titles in languages no scholar could name. A salt-crusted altar dominated the center, its surface stained with dark, unwholesome smears. Above it hung a tapestry, tattered and ancient, depicting a vast, tentacled form rising from the deep, its eyes like twin voids of malevolent intent. Elena's breath caught as she traced the threads, her mind recoiling from the implications. Upon the altar rested a journal, its leather cover warped by damp. She opened it, and the words within, penned in Percival's meticulous hand, unraveled her sanity thread by thread. It spoke of the Ashwood's pact, forged in an age when men knelt before things that should not be. For generations they had served an entity dwelling in the ocean's abyssal trenches, a being of infinite hunger and incomprehensible will, known only as the dweller in the depths. The family offered tribute, gold, blood, and at rare intervals, a bride, to appease its wrath and secure its favor. Percival wrote of his forebears with reverence, their sacrifices ensuring the line's survival. And then, the final entry, Elena, my beloved, shall be the vessel. The stars align, the tide calls. She will join me in the embrace of the abyss, and our union shall be eternal. A scream clawed at her throat, but she stifled it as the storm's roar crescendoed. Footsteps echoed in the hall, slow, deliberate, wet. Percival stood in the doorway, his nightshirt drenched, his eyes glowing with a sickly luminescence. "You should not have come here," he said, his voice a hollow echo of the man she had loved. "But it is too late now. The dweller awaits its bride." He seized her wrist, his grip cold and unyielding, and dragged her from the room. The mansion trembled as though alive, its stones groaning under the storm's assault. Down the cliff path they went, the wind howling with a voice not of this earth. The sea churned below, its surface parting to reveal a monstrous silhouette, vast, amorphous, a blasphemy of flesh and shadow. Tentacles writhed upward, their tips glistening with an otherworldly sheen, and eyes, countless, unblinking, fixed upon her with a hunger that transcended time. Percival knelt upon the shore, his arms outstretched. "Behold!" he cried above the tempest. "The dweller rises! Join me, Elena, and know eternity!" His face was alight with rapture, his humanity sloughing away like a discarded mask. The cliffs began to crumble, great slabs of stone plunging into the waves as though the earth itself recoiled from what emerged. Elena's mind teetered on the brink. The journal's words clawed at her. Eternal union, a bride to the abyss. To join him would be to surrender to a fate beyond mortal comprehension, to become one with a god whose very existence mocked the natural order. Yet to resist was to face annihilation, for no mortal hand could defy the thing that loomed before her. The sea surged, its icy tendrils lapping at her feet, and the dweller's presence pressed upon her soul, a weight of despair and awe that no words could capture. In the final moments she chose. With a cry torn from the depths of her being, she wrenched free of Percival's grasp and fled up the disintegrating path. The mansion loomed ahead, its spires silhouetted against the lightning-riven sky. She stumbled into its halls, the walls shuddering as the sea's wrath pursued her. The dweller's roar, a sound to shatter stars, followed, and she knew it would not be denied. But she would not yield. Locking herself in the forbidden room, she seized the journal and tore its pages, scattering them into the storm through a shattered window. The altar she toppled, its stones splintering upon the floor. If she could not escape, she would deny the dweller its ritual, its bride. The mansion buckled, its foundations giving way, and as the sea swallowed Blackspire Hall, Elena stood defiant amidst the ruin. The last she saw before the waves claimed her was Percival upon the shore, his form merging with the dweller's, a union of flesh and abyss, a devotee consumed by his god. The monstrous silhouette sank back into the depths, its eyes lingering upon her with a promise of return, and then darkness. In the years that followed, a sailor spoke of a haunted coast where the sea whispered secrets no man should hear, of Blackspire Hall, naught remained but jagged stones, and of Elena, only a tale, a woman who defied the abyss, if only for a moment, before its hunger claimed all.